Good morning, allies. Got a confession to make. I'm still kind of sick, but got a call from the program manager and they started asking me unrelated questions, and I noticed that it was raining quite nicely outside, and so I quickly got dressed and hurried myself downstairs, or not downstairs, but out into my car and took off. I like driving in the rain. I like driving in weather, and this is no different. Man, I like driving in the weather. So good morning, allies. Inauguration day. Inauguration for probably, if not the most, one of the most maligned presidents that we've ever had. Just crazy that what's going on with Trump, just crazy. And I think y'all know from my videos that I didn't vote for the man, but in California, what does it matter? But I will support him because he's the president, and frankly, I'd much prefer a Republican over a liberal like Hillary any day, and that's almost any Republican.
And pills to take care of everything. Bradenton, now trembling with fear as much as with cold,
You got plenty of
forced
space.
the
Go
words
ahead.
out through his clacking teeth.
It's ironic that people are calling Trump a tyrant and worried about the rights he will take away from the people. Yet those are the same people who refuse to arm themselves and say that the Second Amendment is outdated because they don't live in a country where tyrants can ever exist again. Leah sent me this message at 10:30 this morning in regards to all the hullabaloo of the Trump inauguration. And on that topic, I want to spend the rest of today talking. I'm curious, right? I'm curious. I'm seeing this this violence, this property destruction, the injuring of police officers, rioting, loose rioting, whatever. We'll see if it's going to get any worse. I'm curious if to the left they have no concept of what it means to be responsible for their own self-defense, and that they should be responsible enough to own a firearm, or that they should view themselves as the last arbiter of their personal defense and that of their family. My belief is no, and the reason why I think that's the case is because they immediately resort to violence against the system and people who don't represent their mindset. So what does that mean? Well, you have to say to yourself, well, wait, what does that mean? Well, because somebody who's personally responsible for their own self-defense isn't going to aggress against someone else. They're going to prepare to defend themselves if need be. To those that depend on the government or some kind of social construct or some kind of system at play for their defense, their only response to that system not working the way they like it is destroying or biting at that system. Not to abate themselves or remove themselves from that system actively and prepare privately to protect themselves or to be responsible for their own defense. Leah's question is striking to me because it's always that dichotomy that the liberals have. On one hand, cops are bad people and they shoot people all the time, right? But on the other hand, people shouldn't have guns because then they're just going to roam around and kill people. Or people have a tendency of being violent, and we shouldn't have guns because then violent people won't be violent. At some point, the truth of the matter is that a liberal must completely give themselves to the system or society or program or whatever it is and view that as a greater cause than their own cause or the belief that the individual has a more important role or more important right to defense, their property, pursuit of happiness, their own money, whatever. All those private things, if you believe that those were the most important thing, that those things should be defended against all others, then you at some point will probably stop being a liberal. Because once you view those things as important and an individual's right, that they should have that capability, once that is a persistent and all-knowing thing that you have, that there is no level in which you can go, well, yeah, but, you know, taxation, we should be paying for this, we should be paying for that. Once you can't find any area where you go, well, no, we should keep our own money. No, we should be responsible for ourselves. Well, no, then you stop being a liberal. Because what you end up doing is you realize that people need to be responsible for themselves, but only through the capability of having all their rights bestowed to them or returned to them or unmolested by some system or law. So I love Leah's comment that she sent in that chat this morning. And I'm curious, will liberals start to change their tune on guns? Will they begin to purchase guns and protect themselves or potentially prepare to protect themselves? Or will they, most likely what I think they're going to do, will they just continue to bitch and moan and complain about a system that doesn't represent them and try, through shaming, through very bullshitty tactics, try and change that system to behoove themselves instead of actually saying, wait, I need to actually protect myself in case someone were to trespass on me, my rights, or my family's rights. There's a very interesting concept, and I think it's a dichotomy that liberals and conservatives, basically anyone not liberal, I think has. And it's a difference of it's a difference of understanding in a core belief of what human capability is in reference to your opposition. The liberals we see out protesting the Trump presidency are they're destroying property and they're doing these acts of civil disobedience. That's really as far as they're mentally capable of taking a problem. Sure, they probably burn a building and throw some trash cans through some windows, flip over some police cars, but at the end of the day, the police are going to come in and they're going to pick them up and they're going to take them away. Very few of them, this is me just making an assumption here, very few of them seem like they have the wherewithal to actually pick up a weapon and try and organize against the system that is upsetting them. And understand, this is a system that they respected and liked when it's in support of what they were getting, Obama presidency, for example. So when it flips on them, and they have this crisis of where the system that they loved was just used to create something that they hate, they don't know what to do, because the answer at the end of the day is more of the system, more government, more policies. So when the very thing that you threw all your trust into, like a religion, all your faith, the belief in this government, creates this entity, Trump as president, you lose all faith in the entire thing. But here's the crux, right? Going back to what I started this whole thing with. They are wholly, impossibly, incapable of actually creating something violently to change the system. They have no wherewithal to actually do anything of a violent rebellion or overthrow or anything like that. That's my personal opinion. The people, the babies, the liberals that are crying, even the violent ones, they don't know what it is, and they haven't wrapped their mind around what it is to actually go through a situation where they may be fighting against the very system that they have loved and believe in for so long. Woefully unprepared for that. So therefore, what are they? They're nothing. They're children. They're petulant little babies that when faced with the equal and opposite reaction to something they enjoyed, they can't handle it. And so what do? No real action. They're just going to have a tantrum, and we're going to break some things, and we're going to cry, and we're going to be upset. But in no time do they ever have any kind of concept that they're going to pick up guns or become gun owners or prepare for, hey, wait a second. This tyrant that we've been trying to warn people about that's going to take all of these people's rights away. And no time do they ever actually believe that that's going to happen, because if they were, they'd already be preparing for it. The second that Trump got elected, people who are liberals that actually believed he was going to take people's rights away would have started buying guns. They would have become preppers overnight. They would have been buying guns, stockpiling food, buying ammunition, figuring out gasoline, figuring out off-grid solar panel systems, whatever. Has that happened? No. No. They haven't learned any new skills. They haven't prepared themselves for anything. Because, at the end of the day, they want to live and die under this system. And when the system wrongs them, like creating Trump as president, regardless of what you feel about Trump, I'm not saying that, I'm talking as though I was them, all they're gonna do is whine and cry like a little child. And that's all that they're capable of doing. That's the real bitch about this whole thing. Sorry to put so fine a point on it. I know I haven't made a video like this in quite some time, but nothing pisses me off more than a group of people that tell you Second Amendment's outdated, you don't need the Second Amendment, we've got police officers, we've got government, right, protecting you. How are you going to fight against the most powerful army in the world, right? Well, that army is now headed by whom they view as the Antichrist, if they were religious, which they're most likely not. This person, Trump, they actually believe that he's going to go around killing Mexican people, for example, and taking the rights away from gay people, and this, that, and the other. But they're unwilling to take it any further than that. They have no wherewithal to actually perform any kind of change that would be detrimental to them living under the system that I don't even know if they love it. They may hate it. But they're so bonded and attached to it and shackled by it that they can't put their mind around anything but living under that system. And so what do? They're gonna cry about it. They're gonna cry because they don't like Trump.
And something I find incredibly interesting is, if you truly believe that the system is pure and good, then how did Trump get elected? If you're right and your way of thinking is right and et cetera, then how did Trump get elected? And if you say, well, the people, right? The people elected him, the people voted him in. So who's your enemy? Is it 50% of the nation? Or maybe less than 50% of the nation if you want to make that claim. Or is the Electoral College your enemy? But then, do you understand the history behind the Electoral College? Do you understand the system that you're actually complaining against? Not just the man, Trump, but the system. And at the end of the day, it comes out that you realize that, yes, the system is the problem. What have you got? And I'm not trying to rabble-rouse here. I'm not trying to incite any kind of violence. I'm trying to point out what I think is a human frailty, and that of this liberal mindset that you can just tear your way through life, and you can complain when something doesn't go your way, but do nothing to change it or prepare for something that could be worse off or make you a victim to someone else. All right, so the system bore Trump. Trump is now president. You think he's the Antichrist. You think he's gonna kill people in the street. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. So far, nothing. Kick over some trash cans, maybe burn some stuff. Nobody's gonna stop. Nobody's gonna stop doing what they're doing because of that. Nobody cares. The public doesn't care. We'll be off of this and on to something else tomorrow, whatever Kim Kardashian's up to. Who cares? What are you gonna do? I'm not saying you pick up a pitchfork and you start stabbing people. That's not what I mean. Are you prepared to defend yourself? Are you prepared to actually fight if Trump does bring Stasi-like troops to the door, goose-stepping all the way up and starts pulling Mexican people out of their houses? Are you gonna stand up for Mexican people? Are you gonna start shooting back? Are you gonna start bringing weapons and learning how to use them and learning how to defend yourself? No, you're not. You're not gonna do anything. You're not gonna do anything. You're just gonna sit there and you're just gonna complain. You're gonna go on the internet and you're gonna post Facebook posts. You're gonna go on Instagram, you're gonna live Instagram whatever's going on at the inauguration. Who cares? Who cares? You're worthless. You're worthless. Less than worthless. You're actually wasting people's time, valuable people's time, with having to deal with your stupid little complaints that aren't gonna change anything. Not gonna change nothing. But let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say let's say you're right. Let's say everything you think Trump is, every nasty thing, every demonic little thing you believe that he's capable of, he does, he brings to fruition. And people follow along with it too. And they go along with it and they decide to start throwing babies in ovens and etc., etc. What are you gonna do? Nothing. You're gonna be the guy with the worthless, I told you so, why didn't you listen to me? Nobody ever, the world and history is filled with people who have the I told you so, why didn't you listen to me, come back for when something bad happens. If you knew, or you think you knew, why don't you do something back then? Why don't you do something now, before it happens? Because you don't. My problem isn't with people who don't like Trump. My problem was with people who all they do is they wallow and complain and cry and bleat, 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 and do nothing. Prepare for nothing. Attempt to change nothing. All they do is go, why don't you listen to me? Why don't you listen to me? I'm just trying to get the word out. So open your eyes, sheeple, open your eyes. Do something. Do something. Spend some effort, some time, learn something, get some skills. Don't just bleat, 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 bleat. So this video was a huge rant video. I spent like 15 minutes just ranting about something I didn't like, based off of Leah's question, which has been stuck in my craw. My craw is actually down here, but also in my brain for all day today. And that's what Leah does to me. Sometimes she plants a seed and I can't stop thinking about it. Question of the day. I would actually like to hear it. If you're a liberal and you watch my channel, I don't think that I'm disparaging you as a liberal because I share a lot of liberal ideals. I think I'm disparaging leftists and progressives. So first let me get that out of the way. But seriously, everybody who watches this, you can answer this question, but to anybody who's a liberal that watches my channel, I'd like to know what you prepare for. Do you prepare for the government possibly deciding to hurt you one day? It's fine to say that. There's no reason why we can't say that out loud. I'll say it. I believe that lots of the preparations I do are as effective against a government that may be against me as it is some thug trying to break into my house. May not be wholly effective against a mechanized infantry like our United States Army, but it's more effective than nothing. I'll leave it at that. So that's where I'll leave it today. We got real dark there, didn't we? We got real dark. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. To everybody that's new to my channel, sorry, this is a bit different than my normal videos, and it's largely because Trump inauguration. Didn't vote for the man, I'll repeat that again. But I think it's important that we stop electing to go to yoga class, get real flexible, and then shove our head up our collective asses when it comes to this kind of stuff. We need to remain objective. And I think that objectivity is a skill that most people are sorely lacking in, and we all need to exercise that muscle a little bit more. So anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Post them in the comments below, and I will talk to you tomorrow.